1986, Houston, Texas. Three young gentlemen by the names of Raheem, Jukebox, and Sir Rap-A-Lot decide to form a group named the Geto Boys over the shared love of hip-hop. Although the aspirations of the group were high, the group fell apart really quick, and during the same calendar year, members like Raheem and Sir Rap-A-Lot left. The group decided to add members like DJ Ready Red, Prince Johnny C, and Little Billy, the dancer from Brooklyn, who later came to be known as Bushwick Bill. They released the first single, Car Freak, in the same year, which then followed with two singles, You Ain't Nothing / I Run This in 1987 and Be Down in 1988. They managed to scrape together an album and released it in February called Making Trouble. The debut album received little to no attention and got a lot of negative reviews. After the commercial failure of the group's debut album, the record label Rap-A-Lot Records, which was named by one of the original members of the Geto Boys, Sir Rap-A-Lot, decided to drop Jukebox and Johnny C from the group. The label explained that they felt like the two were copying several artists from New York City, which was in fact one of the criticisms from the public and critics towards their debut album. They replaced them with Scarface and Willie D, which fulfilled the group's lineup and made the group that we know today as Geto Boys. Willie D initially signed to Rap-A-Lot Records as a solo artist, and in the beginning was reluctant to join the group. Scarface was gaining a lot of respect in the Houston hip-hop community. Label founder J Prince and his brother set up an audition at DJ Ready Red's house. As soon as Scarface started rapping over DJ Ready Red's beats, James Prince was impressed. Scarface's lyrical abilities, as well as his serious subject matter, which was uncommon at the time in hip-hop, was exactly what made J Prince sign him. Prince saw the group as the most promising music act on his label, and decided to invest his full budget and attention towards the Geto Boys. The newly formed lineup, Bushwick Bill, Willie D, Scarface, and DJ Ready Red, recorded the album Grip It on That Other Level in 1989. This album got far more positive reviews and success. It reached number 166 on the Billboard 200 chart and even number 19 on Top R&B / Hip Hop Album chart. Grip It was well received in the hip hop community and was considered to be the group's breakout album, as it gave them national exposure and eventually sold 500,000 copies. A year after its release, legendary producer Rick Rubin remixed 10 of its tracks for the 1990s remix album The Geto Boys. This was the first appearance of the group's name being misspelled. In the same year, The Source gave the album a 4 out of 5 rating, and when comparing to the group's remix album, The Geto Boys, they actually favored Grip It instead of Rick Rubin's version, stating that some of the changes on the remix album weren't for the better. Finally, the group managed to reach some sort of success, but it was only the beginning.
Our American agenda tonight because of fear. Fear that what started out as music to inform has turned into music that incites. Our agenda reporter is Carol Simpson.
This is the latest issue of Billboard magazine, and if you look in the category of hot rap singles, and there are 50 of them, many of the titles suggest violence, sex, drug use, and profanity. In fact, I can't even say some of the names of the songs on television.
Rap is essentially a black art form, but it's a gold mine for white recording companies, which artists say encourage the hardcore lyrics because they sell.
The early 1990s were an interesting time in rap. Several American politicians started attacking rappers and associating them with a subgenre called gangster rap, including the Geto Boys. Due to their lyrics, which were named as graphic, violent, misogynistic, Def American Records, the label which the group was signed at the time, had to switch the distributors from Geffen Records to Warner Bros. Records. Geffen Records didn't want anything to do with the Geto Boys, their image, or their quote-unquote obnoxious lyrics. Although the problem was fixed, the Geto Boys were furious. They felt disrespected and treated unfairly. For their following album, We Can't Be Stopped, the boys went back to Houston's Rap-A-Lot Records, the label that created the group in the first place. The boys were in unapologetic mode. Willie D, Scarface, and Bushwick Bill wanted to make sure that the industry suits who shook in their loafers at their previous work knew that they weren't watering their sound. Quick note, during the album production, DJ Ready Red left the group, narrowing down the lineup to 3 members. Songs like I'm Not a Gentleman and Trophy from the album just showed how without filter Willie D was at the time.
Yo, Flame, I give a fuck about a goddamn blaming, but them motherfucking hoes won't have me one.
Bushwick Bill throughout the album is jumping between 2 characters. One is a raving psycho on the song called Chucky.
I told you size was this shit, that's why I murdered your nieces. Was my fault they found their head cut in 88 pieces.
gangsters.
And another one is Threesome Igniting Playboy on the song called The Other Level.
Been fucking two of the finest bitches around, G. It used to be fun, but now it's getting boring to me.
As a cherry on top, we have Scarface, who was without a doubt the group's most conflicted MC, unloading his personal and mental demons on the records. The best example of this is the group's biggest hit, Mind Playing Tricks on Me, and I just want to mention that the song is personally one of my favorite tracks of all time.
At night I can't sleep, I toss and turn, candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned.
On the album We Can't Be Stopped, they not only didn't boil down their lyrics, but on opening song, which was named the same as the album, they addressed the situation with the label distributors, personally calling out David Geffen by name, speaking against their hypocrisy, and overall calling out everyone that stood in their way.
Somebody tell that country ass hick to go suck a dead man's dick.
But before releasing the album, which became their biggest album to date, they had one major setback. On June 19, 1991, after a day-long bender of drinking Everclear grain alcohol and a few tabs of PCP, Bushwick Bill returns home, highly intoxicated, erratic, and outwardly depressed. The following situation has three different versions of what happened next. The first version is that Bushwick Bill came back home and, being tired of the life he was living, decided to end it. He grabbed his gun and shot himself in the eye. The second version is that Bushwick Bill grabbed his gun, woke up his then girlfriend, and demanded that she would kill him. After she refused to do so, Bill fired the gun at her and his 3-month-old child, thankfully missing both of them, but grabbing the child and threatening to drop him if she doesn't do what he asks. This still didn't make his girlfriend to shoot him, so he attempted to hit her in the head with a vacuum cleaner, but once again missed. In the chaos, Bill forfeited the pistol to his girlfriend, and when he saw she was reaching for the trigger, he put his eye in front of it. Two pairs of hands scrambled for control of the gun, and eventually the struggle abruptly ended when a round was fired point blank into Bushwick Bill's right eye socket. The third version is that Bill, while under the influence, came up with a plan to make money from an insurance scam. What if I go wake my mom up, provoke her, hand her a gun, and have her shoot me? I'll be able to go to heaven. My mom gets the life insurance, everybody is happy, he said in a Vice interview in 2016. According to him, so she grabbed the gun and I put my face right in front of it. She pulled the trigger, but she closed her eyes and turned her head first, so it didn't work out that way. We can all agree that while these stories may be true, they definitely sound pretty insane. In my opinion, the second one is probably the one that actually happened. He told the story numerous of times dating back to 1991.
And when I came home, my girl was asleep, so I woke her up and told her to kill me because I wanted to die. I was tired of my life. She said she didn't want to shoot me, so I shot at her and my 3-month-old baby first. Then I tried to beat her head in with a vacuum cleaner, but I missed. Then I gave her the gun and jumped at her, and when I see her hand reach the trigger, I put my eye in front of it. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier now.
And later, Willie D, when asked on Joe Rogan's podcast about what happened to Bushwick Bill's eye, he started telling the same story.
How did he make her shoot him?
He said that they were arguing, this is Bill's version, that they were arguing over something, and he was mad, so he pulled out the gun and he threatened to throw the baby downstairs. And then he has the gun and his girlfriend is like, they're tussling over the gun. And so Bill's like, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. This is what he's saying that he told her. So the gun goes off, boom. Bill gets shot in the eye.
I don't know why he tried to change the story in 2016, but whatever led to the incident, getting shot in the eye is no joke. Bushwick Bill was instantly taken to the hospital. Afterwards, he famously claimed that he died and came back to life, as he was being treated in the hospital.
I died June 19th, 1991. Legal death is 45 minutes. I was in the morgue for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Before I came to, it was going on 3 hours down there. But yeah, legal death is 45 minutes.
Means you still got to do,
when you woke up and
yeah.
The first thing you do is to take a piss?
No, yeah, my toe was tagged and they were pushing me in the drawer and I looked both ways and I saw frozen people to the left and frozen people to the right. I'm like, I must be dreaming. Then I looked in front of me and I saw a door about to close and the people are still pushing me. I was like, yo! And everybody stopped. I was like, hey. I have to pee.
Scarface and Willie D were informed about the incident and rushed to the hospital as soon as they could. When the news hit the Geto Boys management team, they saw a perfect opportunity. You see, they finished their infamous album, but it just so happened that they didn't have an album cover for it. Management came up with the idea of taking the photo right away. They informed Willie D about it. D came inside and asked Bill what he thought of the whole idea, and while being on a lot of drugs, he said, "I don't care." The nurse came into the room, put Bill on another bed, and wheeled him out on a gurney. Willie D on the left, Scarface on the right, started pushing him down the hallway. Bill exposed his wound to the world while holding a brick phone, and the Geto Boys manager Chief snapped a photo. Many people don't notice, but their single, Mind Playing Tricks on Me, also had a cover, which featured Bill sitting in a wheelchair just after the surgery. You could say that the executives milked the situation to the fullest. While a lot of people saw the covers as hard, Bill wasn't so happy about it, even though he gave them a green light by agreeing to it. Let's not forget he was under a lot of medicine at the time. He said, "It still hurt me to look at that cover, because it was a personal thing I went through. I still feel the pain from the fact that I've got a bullet in my brain. I think it was a pretty wrong thing to do it, even though I went along with the program at first." Bushwick Bill, on his 1992 solo album Little Big Man, documents his struggles, mindset, and the whole eye incident on the song called Ever So Clear.
And I'm glad that I'm here, G, but it's fucked up I had to lose an eye to see shit clearly.
This is the story of how the world got to see the infamous Geto Boys We Can't Be Stopped album cover. If you haven't heard the album, I genuinely recommend to all of you, please give it a go and listen to what they are rapping about now that you know the full story. These guys were telling real stories without any filter whatsoever, and David Geffen parting ways with the group, calling them all sorts of epithets, was the biggest mistake he could have done. The Geto Boys were ruthless. Rest in peace, Bushwick Bill.